Hey guys, welcome to Tell to Trevor. Today on my podcast, we have an exclusive interview with
The enchanting one, Tommy Okami.
Tommy. You do know you're holding the one of one microphone.
One of one? Is this the first time someone's used it?
First time someone's used it, first time it's debuting. So,
I feel so special, man. What an honor.
first question I always ask: what sparked your interest in the professional wrestling industry?
I've always been a fan of it growing up. And yeah, ever since I was 8, I'd watch it with my granddad, my mom. They all grew up on wrestling, the Ric Flair era, all that stuff. But I didn't really consider it really until maybe I was in college. Because I didn't know what I wanted to do after graduation. I just had the opportunity to go to school, kind of do what my mom wants. And then after I graduated, I'm like, okay, now it's time to really pursue the dream. And then COVID happened. I had to wait a whole another year, and then finally we got the balls rolling.
Yes.
And now I'm here 2 years in.
So you were in a handicap match tonight?
A handicap match,
Yes.
3-on-2.
Yes. Your team versus Bash and
Rayhan Anteas. I got to be careful to say his name right because I don't know. Look, he chose the name that's hard to pronounce. That's not. You know what? I misheard someone say it. No disrespect. I thought they said Rayhan Ananias.
Okay.
But I got his name right this time.
Who were your wrestling mentors
Growing up.
Like the ones you idolized?
Oh, the people I looked up to as a kid.
Yes.
I was always a big fan of. When I was a kid specifically, I liked Jeff Hardy with the colors and the bands and all that. Like he was always really cool, and I choose him when I'm playing. I almost said 2K, but back then it'd be SmackDown versus Raw.
Well, he was on 2K, where him and Matt were signed when they did the whole Hardy Boys return at Mania the year after they debuted him back in 2K.
Yeah, Jeff was cool, but he wasn't quite my favorite. My favorite was Edge. There's something about the way he carried himself. That demeanor. You always love a bad guy, the ultimate opportunist. I also liked him when he was a good guy during the later before he retired, that Alberto Del Rio era. It was a hard era for me because I feel like I was in middle school, and around that time, kids are starting to say, "Oh, this is cool. Wrestling's not a cool thing. Why are you still into that?" And so that was when Edge was really his I don't know, his redemption arc. He was a good guy now. He was my number one. And then of course Randy. I always liked the cool bad guys.
Yeah. How did you get your start in the wrestling?
After COVID, once the lockdowns ended, I moved down to Greensboro with a buddy, and Firestar was right around the corner. I got really lucky. I just searched up wrestling schools near the area, and Greensboro popped up, and I had some people I could, make my living situation easy with, move into, guys who are looking for a roommate. And so everything kind of just fell into place. Firestar was there 10 minutes away from where my buddy lived, who was looking for a roommate. And it's just, I got really lucky, man.
Yeah.
I happened to go to one of the best schools, maybe the best school in the Carolinas, purely by chance.
Yeah.
I could have ended up at any place, and I just happened to get my cards to fall to the right place for that.
Now, guys, if you guys have not noticed, the past couple episodes, I've been throwing out hints on people who I'm sponsoring at WrestleK this year. Tommy is one of them, making it official now.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Now, we got a guy called Raphael the Mad Hatter. His character, I love. He is Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland. He even brought up the Queen in the show. I mean, on the episode, but she was yelling about something. He's like, "Sorry about the Queen. She's just mad," and I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah, we'll get to the next section. It's all good.
Yeah, now I can tune up the background stuff. How did you get your start in the open? What was your first wrestling match?
First wrestling match. It was at and now I'm not considering the battle royals or anything. I'm talking about a full on. I'm in there. Bell rings. Yeah, a proper match. It was at Firestar against Joey Gibson, and luckily I was already I'm not sure how it is for other places, but I was 7, 8 months in the training by then, and so I had a good amount of prep time for that. And I don't know. You look back and there's little things I'm sure, but overall, the reaction as soon as we get back to the curtain, it's like we enjoyed our match. Everything that we did was, uh, went exactly as we planned.
Yeah.
And Joey was a good guy to go against. He was big, tall, handsome guy. So the two of us, I felt like we brought old school wrestling feel. People love to see two athletes go at it. So that was a really good way, a hot start to start my wrestling career.
Yeah. What are your goals for the future in the wrestling business?
Oh man, go as far as I can. Obviously, everyone wants to say the biggest goal ever is to main event WrestleMania. Yeah, get to the top. But right now, if I could just get to the point where I only have to wrestle to make my income, then we'd be good.
Yeah. Grabbing that so when we do Trev Shot, we have a timer.
I'll just repeat it so we can edit. The biggest thing for me right now is if I can get to the point where I can just focus on wrestling to make my income and live, and that's like a really small percentage still. But if I can get to that, that's success to me. That means I've done so well that I don't have to give myself to. And I have no disrespect to anyone who works 9 to 5 and does this too. That's like so hard. But there's so many people who, if they could just focus on wrestling and get paid to do that, oh my God, the amount of potential out there is crazy.
Yeah.
So many people out there I know are capable of it and they got the potential. But when they got people who can't come to training because they got their 9 to 5s, what are they supposed to do? Get fired and go homeless? Like wrestling is a dream, and a lot of people, I'm sure, are willing to be in live in their cars and stuff like that. But you still gotta live.
Exactly. Can you describe your wrestling persona or character for someone that has not seen you wrestle before?
The enchanting one is everything bliss and everything lovely. He goes in that ring, he takes off those clothes, and the ladies cheer, make the place loud. And when he's on his bad boy behavior, being good don't get you what you want all the time, does it? Well, overall, I try to bring a glamour to this business. I try to bring a light that people can follow.
Yeah.
And, it's just nice to be a good example of what the peak male can look like.
Yeah. Can you share a memorable moment from your wrestling career so far?
Oh, man. I always go back. We're at Evolution now. I always go back to the Andre Jackson match. That was maybe my second title defense of the Legacy Championship, third. And it felt different, man. Like we brought a fire. It was a fight. It wasn't even that much of a technical match. It was just a good fight. We started the action before the bell even run. But something big that just happened recently. It was last night. I had Explosive Pro Wrestling against Chance Ryder, and he's a newer guy, and I had the privilege of sharing the ring with him. I like wrestling. I'm a new guy myself. I'm only 2 years in, but these guys are less than a year, so working with him is really a privilege to me. I get to use a little bit of my experience to help guide and lead the match, and I've been told a couple times by these trainees who were just getting started. I don't want to say trainees because they're going out there and working, but new guys are getting their foot. And they tell me that was one of the best match they've had, and to know that I can pull something out of people and make a collaborative effort and put on a show for people. That's what this business is all about, man.
I remember I was recording like 4 episodes ago. I was talking to somebody and I said, "Hey, what's your opinion on this podcast after recording it?" She's like, "This is better than Logan Paul's podcast." And I was like, I'm taking that as like a really good compliment because Logan Paul makes money off of it.
That's high shoes. Yeah. That's you can't compare yourself to someone who's already had that big platform to boost it. You're doing all this from the ground up, so anything that you get from this is your effort. You didn't have a boost before, so whatever I don't want to say profits, but whatever good things come out of this, that's all you, man.
Yeah. Can you describe the feeling of winning your first championship
Oh man, it was. I was really surprised by it because I didn't know going into it that I was going to win it.
Yeah.
We all have our meetings. Not every promotion does it. Evolution always does it, where we get all the people in the you know the big back area that ring. And we go over the card top to bottom, and typically they tell the people, hey, this was going to happen here. That's what's going to happen here. And Myrick Moore, who was the champion before I won the match, he maybe won it 2 or 3 shows ago. So I thought, okay, this is just I'm be another match to continue the storyline and whatever.
Yeah.
And Tim goes, "Oh, I'm talking to you guys about the finish." In the back after. I'm like, okay. And then turns out I'm winning my first championship.
Yeah.
At a really, really good promotion.
Yes.
4, 5, 6 months into my career, since graduating, period. But it's like, it's a little intimidating at first. I'm like, "Whoa, are you sure?" But I'm not gonna. What am I gonna say? Don't give it to me.
Yeah.
It was really an honor, though, man. I look back with a lot of fondness to it because Evolution right now means the most to me out of any promotion I've worked with so far. For me, that's my home. I'm 40 minutes away from here. I'm now coaching Monday classes for Evolution. This is where I put my roots in.
Yeah.
So for me to say that my first ever championship was with them, that's I'll never be able to replicate that with anything else. That was the first one. And so, yeah, the sentimental value is peak right there.
Yeah. How do you handle the mental and emotional aspects of wrestling?
Oh man, I keep trying to get my nose down. I don't care about whatever high school drama is going on with the people. My only concern is to have the best possible match that I can, given my circumstances and my opponents for that crowd.
Yeah.
And whatever goes on back there, that's all the toxicity and the rumors and the bad stuff. I'm like, look, I'm a mercenary and a performer. You pay me to do my match. I will wrestle whoever you want in front of those people. I'll do whatever you want. Just, all that stuff going on.
Yeah, social media.
All the social media, man. This is a business. And so many people forget that. Like if if you want to post all your stuff about what's going on, that's fine. Do your private, personal Facebook. Tommy Okami is my brand. That's my business, and I don't. I've stopped posting stuff that I believe in just because I have to protect the brand, the business. You work with people that you're not going to get along with or share the same ideologies and politics all the time.
Yeah.
But the end result should always be we try to do business.
Yeah.
You don't want to exclude no one. If you say some opinion and let's say half of the nation disagrees with it, well, if you're a promoter, you just lost half your business potential just because they don't share the same opinion.
Yeah.
So I just try to stay focused on the goals. I worry about myself, and I understand you have to mix it up with people. It's oftentimes not about what you know, it's who you know.
Yes.
But I try to be as neutral as I can.
Yeah.
It's all about the ring.
All right, guys. So we're gonna start Trev Shock, which if you guys have not heard of it before, it is like when you're in a business meeting, you have those round robin questions. Mine has a little catch to it. Instead of they're gonna rapid fire questions you, mine is 50 seconds, and you got 6 questions.
Oh, so I gotta do one in 8 seconds each. Okay.
And the record is held by Corey Dillinger, which will also be at WrestleKid Guys, alongside Tommy and I, and the Mad Hatter. Raphael can never pronounce your last name, so don't take it personal, Raphael. But he has a record for 35 seconds remaining.
35 seconds remaining.
Yes.
And it's 50 seconds.
Yes.
So 15 seconds.
I don't know what he was on, but
I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability.
Favorite pre-show snack?
Chicken wings.
Favorite pre-show song?
Any song by my future wife, Dua Lipa.
Favorite wrestler growing up?
Edge.
Favorite sports team?
I don't watch sports.
Favorite color.
Pink.
Favorite type of music.
Pop.
You beat it with 25 seconds. So
25 seconds. So that's 50. I did it halfway. 25 seconds. That's fine.
never had someone beat it at 25. But let's see. The next question is: what are the biggest challenges of being a professional wrestler outside of the ring?
Oh God! Outside of the ring, it's and for me, I always tell people, like the trainees and people who ask me, just out of curiosity at like my day job, the hardest part about it isn't going in there. I truly believe if everyone had really good training, there's only a few people who's like really unteachable.
Yeah.
Most people, if they take it like a college class, for example, and they go in for 2 hours twice a week, they'll probably be able to be fine within a couple months. Putting on, some people learn faster than others, but I believe that most people, if they do 2 to 3 sessions, 2 hours of time every week, it shouldn't take too long for them to get ready for the ring. But the challenge with all that comes when you're an adult who has no support system.
Yeah.
I'm very lucky. My mom believes in me, so she helps me as much as I can. I still got to support myself and go to work and all that. So that's when the hard part comes, especially if you want to take the business serious.
Yeah.
A lot of people might do this as a hobby, which I don't understand. But you look at it from their perspective, they do 40 hours at their job, 40 plus. They have kids. Sometimes the only time they got is to go to training for like 1 hour for that week, and then go to the show. And of course, they might not be up to perfection. But for me, I'm trying to get to that next level. So I need at least 2 hours in the gym, every other day at least. And then I got, the training sessions. I try to make 2 a week. So you're taking it, you keep adding these things, and then you have to cook your own food and meal prep, all these steps. You combine all that, you don't have a lot of free time. And sleep deprivation is used as torture, man. You need that sleep. So you combine all that living. It's just hard to live and do this. That's why, like WWE has that performance center. I've heard that the way they do things, it's like you're going to college. You have that dorm, your housing situation, you go clock in and you go do that. And then you go home and then you go back and train more. That's why they're the best. Other people who have to support themselves, they ain't got much choice.
Right.
So that's the hardest part about outside the ring is just being available for, making yourself available to wrestling. You got to sacrifice. I don't have kids. I have to sacrifice. I don't be dating. I don't meet girls out at bars or anything. My time is purely to wrestling.
How do you feel about the business side of wrestling and the way promotion shapes storylines?
Oh man, I keep going back to evolution. It's not just because we're here in the building. But people always say, "Oh my goodness, storytelling on an indie promotion." That's the reason the fans keep coming back every single show. Uh, Tim Wilcox is doing it right. He's standing out. In other places, talent will show up, and it's like, all right, you're here. I guess you two are going to wrestle. And they might only promote like the championship match for a week. Well, of course, you're not going to bring that much people. The business side, this has always been like a promotional glamour thing. You have to, put your product out there. If people just wanted to see the wrestling, then they go watch MMA. And even the MMA fights in UFC, those are super hyped too. Most people watch the press conferences and all that. Conor McGregor, the talking his good talk of the when he has that mic. I think more people watch that than maybe him getting a KO blow. And wrestling should all promotions should follow suit and do all that. The Instagramming, all that, internet promotion. The old school putting out posters. Evolution does that. You go outside, there's posters at buildings and whatnot. And it's and I'm sure they'll find another excuse to go out there and put stuff out. And, especially when you're working. Evolution does it once a month right now. But when you do, I'll use this as an example because I've been working there so much lately. Explosive Pro Wrestling, they run every single Friday, and when you're doing a show 4 times a month, you have to learn how to change it up and pace and do storylines because you keep doing the same thing every week, you lose the customers who keep coming eventually. If you want to bring new people in, you got to change it up and spice it up, like any other business, like any TV show.
If you could wrestle any legendary wrestler, who would it be?
Give me some time to do a cut and get my six pack finally,
Yeah.
and I'd love to wrestle Rick Rude.
Yeah.
Plus, a lot of people don't give him enough credit because he was so good at the showboating and whatnot with the hip swivel that people will forget how good of a worker he was.
Yeah.
If you look at his matches, I think he was maybe one of the top, 5 in that era as far as the moves go in the ring. So you could have a good combination of all that play, especially with the enchanting one versus him. It'd be back and forth, and then they might heat up into a real technical match. So that would be a really fun one to do.
If you could attend a wrestling seminar session with any wrestler, like I've heard Triple H because of business side, Shawn Michaels because of his career.
Yeah, those are the easy ones.
Yeah.
Anyone who's made it to the top, that's who you gotta go for. I hate using generic answers, but yeah, Triple H, Shawn Michaels. Matthew McConaughey said a quote, and he said, "Only take advice from people who you want to switch places with, or you want to be them, you want to be in their position." So, if obviously if you want to be at the top, then you get advice from people who are at the top, and that's the.
If you could if you could have a wrestling legend as your mentor, who would it be?
Paul Heyman.
Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
How the wise man.
Yeah, that's a pretty good success rate with his people,
Yes. What is your opinion on wrestling crossover events with other industries, with sports and entertainment?
So not like promotion versus promotion, but
like how they bring in the celebrities and the basketball players or football players.
I think it's anything that helps mutually benefit each other is great. There's always a time and place. Like I think WWE had that Rolling Rock. It was like the hip hop festival.
Yeah.
And that might have been the wrong place because maybe the way it was laid out. But it's an experiment, and you always got to try things. And
or WCW at Disney.
Yeah, like sometimes it's out of place, but I feel like especially now, wrestling is the most mainstream it's been since maybe the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
For a while there in the 2010s, I remember when I was in middle school and high school, wrestling was kind of looked down upon as far as it wasn't cool.
Yeah.
It was like the kids who liked it was the weirdos and whatnot, and now it's making a resurgence. I see, especially with the Netflix deal, like it's becoming everyone's talking about it now, and it's really cool to be a wrestler again. So those crossover events are going to be, they're going to be coming out more. I think.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much like those music festivals and stuff like that.
They got the LFG now.
Yeah.
Starting up tomorrow.
Like, I'd be really surprised if there wasn't more reality shows like that. I know people didn't like, some people didn't like Tough Enough and all that, but I think we're going to see a lot of more of the reality stuff, like how, they get involved. Celebrities are now more into it. Vanessa Hudgens did that post, the hot girls love wrestling. We got people making cameo appearances. I feel like right now, if you watch Raw or any of the shows right now,
yeah.
I think I've never seen people spend so much time going from camera to camera, and the celebrities are there. People love wrestling again.
Yeah. What advice would you give to an aspiring wrestler?
It's all about this is a pageant industry.
Yeah.
And it's a business. So you can learn all the moves you want, and you can be the best, but you have to find that thing that makes you special. Not many people can get by with just being, a really good wrestler. At the end of the day, you have to have something that the fans will react to. And one of the best advice I've ever heard, now I'll bring up Robert Martyr because he's doing a seminar today for Evolution, so it's an appropriate plug-in. He said you have to find something that's true about you and exaggerate it 100%. Because if you're trying to be someone that you are not at all, then the fans will see right through it and they won't believe in it. But when you're being someone that's a little bit true to you and you pull it out, you believe in it, and if you believe in it, the fans will see it and they'll respond to it. You know,
Yeah.
you have to be authentic, and because people are smart, people are smarter than we think. They can see when you're being an actor.
Yeah.
You have to be true.
Yeah. Can you talk about a significant rivalry you had and how it helped you grow as a wrestler?
Hmm. Uh, I'm only 2 years in.
Yeah.
Uh, Coming up on March, I'll be completed my second year. So with all those matches, there's only a couple people I've had like three or more matches with. That would be like Justin Kindred and Gary Strider. And me and Gary have really good history together, so we're comfortable with each other. Uh, you know that match when you are working with someone that you trained with like that, we both started at the exact same time.
Yeah.
So there's kind of a camaraderie, and we're comfortable really laying into each other, doing stuff that's a little crazy sometimes. Yeah. And you just gotta he helps pull that out. I had a match with him at BWA where I power bombed him on some steel chairs, and it was his idea for the camera. I did not want to do it. He talked me into it.
Yeah.
Just put it out there, and that match really brought it out. And you got to bring some fierceness. And when you're comfortable with someone, you can experiment with that stuff. You admit it when you're wrestling someone that haven't wrestled before or don't know that well. You might hold back a little bit just out of oh, I don't want to hurt them, etc. But like Sheamus says, he really brings it when he's hitting you.
Especially with the rope, broke, whatever he calls it.
Yeah, the little cross things on the
Yeah.
chest. Yeah, you got to be comfortable with each other to do that. So I feel like the more we spend time with each other outside of the ring, you get that comfortableness with each other. Now this is business. At the end of the day, we're going to work with people that we don't like, but when you get to work with people who I don't want to say grew up around. I haven't known them that long in my life, but as far as wrestling, that's like my blood brother kind of. We came up at the same time at the same place. They call that in the mafia, blood brother.
Yeah.
So like that's the guy. I'm like, yeah, we just hit each other. Let's go out there and tear the house down. And well, if someone gets hurt, we'll apologize later.
What was it like working with a particular wrestler that you really clicked with in the ring?
Clicked with. Well, I just brought up Gary, but someone recent. It happens, man. Chance Ryder. He was a. I said was nothing happened. But he's a new guy, right?
Yeah.
So he's at Explosive Pro Wrestling, and I'm a bad guy down there now. So I got to work with a bunch of new guys who are coming up as baby faces, and sometimes you have a natural chemistry with someone, and it comes out. So me and him, we had never worked together in the ring before, never practiced together at all. I'm in North Carolina, he's in South Carolina. We would never cross paths because I think right now he's only working there until he develops further.
Yeah.
But we go in there. I say, hey, how do you feel about this? What do you want to do here? And we came up with a collaborative effort, and we tore the house down. And, sometimes you just get with someone and it works. And even the people you don't have a natural chemistry with, you get more matches together. I feel like each one will get better and better.
Yeah.
But the few times that it happens right off the bat, just natural, it's just like, socializing with anyone out there. Sometimes you meet someone and it's special.
Yeah. Can you describe your training process and what was the most challenging part of learning to wrestle?
For me, well, I was trained to Firestar, man. We do like a curriculum. You need to have this down, this down, this down before you go out there and wrestle.
Yeah.
He wants to have, Kozon wants us to have all these skills ready before we have our match. And then other places might have like a sink or swim mentality, which isn't bad because I feel like the only way you get better as a wrestler is to perform. If you can do all the stuff you want in training until you wrestle in front of a crowd, it's not the same. But for me, it was almost like I signed up for a college class, and I'm there, I'm learning the stuff, and then once we're ready, we go out. But the hardest part for me was, in particular, the presentation of like strikes and moves in the ring, because I have an athletic background. Um, I did martial arts. I wrestled in college and high school, And some of the things like if I were to try to hit you in real life, why would I whine? Why would I make a show of it and telegraph my move? You want to keep it tight so they don't see it coming. But wrestling, we want to show people. We want everyone to see everything because it's a showmanship. And oftentimes that doesn't correlate exactly with what someone would do at MMA. So learning how to separate the two and being like, okay, this works for that, this works for that. I had to figure that out on my own and whatnot. With like lockups, for example, you got to take your time, slow, make that show instead of in and out, stuff like that. But that just shows that wrestling is such a unique art form, and you have to you can bring stuff from I don't want to say legit sports, but outside sports and bring it in. It just has to make sense.
What hobbies bring you joy outside of the wrestling ring?
I'm a really I try to stay outside of I don't want to say bad situations, but I got all my partying done in college. I don't really go out to nightclubs or anything like that. I'm really a homebody when I'm by myself. Like you give me my PlayStation 5 and my Xbox, and I'll just stay indoors, play some Marvel Rivals, be chill. Not that I'm not opposed to going out and having fun, but it's just I like to I'm so overexposed and stimulated by all this wrestling stuff, and then I go to my day job that my me time when I'm home. I just want to play with some Legos, play my video games, and that makes me lame. But I just want to rest, man. Yeah. I'm beat up. I'm tired. I'm chill.
What is your favorite gear that you have ever had made?
I just made an order. So, hopefully with a follow-up interview at some point later, I'll probably talk about that one. But for now, I haven't had too much gear iterations. My favorite one is my red trunks, which I will. That because my mom made those. She went to fashion school for a bit, so she knows a little bit about. She had to learn some stuff specifically for the wrestling gear, which she is nice enough to do for her son. But obviously the sentimental value. Even if I didn't like the design, I do like the design. But the fact is, people from my mom, but they don't matter what it looks like to me.
And then where can they find you on social media?
Instagram, Tommy Okami 97. Facebook, Tommy Okami. TikTok, anything that's not Facebook is Tommy Okami 97. And 97 is just the birth year. There's nothing special. There's no hidden meaning behind that.
And then thank you, Tommy, for being on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me, man.
And then, guys, we're doing a t-shirt giveaway, which wrestlers, there's a separate one where you can go on the link tree and fill that out. Same thing with the fans. They're both set the same. I wanted to divide it up so we had 2 winners. So then I'm not paying favoritism. Oh, there's a wrestler in here. Let me just give him the t-shirt.
Yeah, I'm good. I want them to win. I want the viewers, your people.
Right.
It's about y'all.
So, guys, there's 5 designs. You guys can go check that out on the whatever you call it to sign up. All you guys gotta do is put your name, shirt size, which design, and then your social media. And then thank you to the sponsors of Wrestling Evolution as we're in Wrestling Evolution's building. Apple City Championship Wrestling, and the new promotion called TBD.
TBD.
Owned by Bojack.
Oh.
Yes. So that is a lot of fun. I'm currently just looking at all the matches and the stars that they sign and everything.
Oh, we'll see what happens with them. Yes. I'd love to catch them when they make their debut event.
Yep. All right, guys. We will see you next time. Don't remember who I got next up in the lineups. So, see you guys next time.
That was fun, man.